This is Urban Knowledge, whether you're listening to the podcast on SoundCloud or you're watching some video clips on YouTube. I've got a very special guest with me, a DJ that's been in this game for a while now. Many accolades, from the Blazin CDs, from, Supafest, legendary concerts to Good Life. We've got DJ Nino Brown in the building. Welcome, man.
It's happening.
Hey, it's good. It's good to hear from you, man. And first of all, my first question for you is: did the name Nino Brown come from the movie New Jack City?
Of course.
Yeah, but I'm surprised about that because Nino Brown was such a super villain. He was such a criminal. Why'd you take the name?
Well, my first name is actually Nino.
Mm-hmm.
So when that movie came out, I was still at school, and people started calling me Nino Brown because the movie was out. And I was buying records back then as a kid and wanted to be a DJ. Wasn't really a DJ at the time. And I remember when I first actually did the first couple of gigs, I sort of called myself DJ Nino. Like, it wasn't really a very good name. And then I kind of thought to myself, when I wanted to get more into DJ battles, and I was thinking about wanting to do the DMC one day, I thought it'd be cool to use all the Nino Brown samples. I hadn't really heard of the DJ Nino Brown, so I sort of jumped on it.
Definitely, man. And for the number one urban DJ in Australia, did you take? I understand why you took that title, but you take it because no one else was really claiming it.
I wasn't. I was given that title. I didn't take that title.
Really? Okay.
Look, I guess I was touring Australia before I had a record deal back in I did the DMC in Sydney in 1998, 1999. I came second at the New South Wales final.
Mm-hmm.
And there weren't really any club DJs. I was already probably one of the biggest club DJs in the city at that time, so there wasn't really any prominent club DJs that were battling, and that kind of got me a lot of press at the time. And I started traveling interstate, so I was already traveling around Australia, kind of like by the year 2000, And people were sort of calling me Australia's number one. They used to call me Australia's number one hip hop and R&B club DJ.
Yeah.
For a long time, and then I guess the word urban came out. It's kind of like the music industry way to say hip hop and R&B. And I guess separated it a little bit from straight hip hop because at the time, golden era hip hop and mainstream hip hop and R&B were kind of branching off.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had the Urban Music Awards in 2007 and 2008, where it was industry selected best DJ category and voted for by the public.
Yeah.
And I won number one urban DJ at all those awards. It ran for like 2 or 3 years. So I was sort of like given that title. I mean, the title's cool, but like, it's not like I sort of, and I appreciate it, but I kind of walk around and go, hey, I'm the number one. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about that because you can call yourself whatever you like, man. You can call yourself the world's greatest like boxer, but you got to face Mike Tyson one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And I think the reason why no one's really disagreed with it is because it was a title that I legitimately earned, and I was out doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of people call DJ Samurai Australia's number one sort of club turntablist or whatnot and things like that. And Sam and I do a lot of shows together, and we're both dudes that are out, legitimately, I guess, putting legitimacy to the titles that people give us. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah.
And it's cool, man. And, I take a certain amount of responsibility with that. Like, I love what I do. I practice every day. I put a lot of effort into my sets. And, I want it, so if someone's in the audience going, I heard this guy's like the number one urban DJ, I want them to see what I do and be like, yeah, that guy's pretty dope.
Yeah, for sure. And it's sorry, go on.
I was going to say, because, nowadays the word DJ is a real thing, and like, have Paris Hilton DJing, you know what I mean? and she might be the number one model DJ. I don't fucking know, but like, titles don't mean anything unless the people believe it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. That's what I was just about to say. Like, it's better to earn a title. It's better to get the respect from, the fans and the people rather than giving yourself a title. So, yeah, the title's got to be earned, in my opinion, though.
And people give titles all the time, and that's why some of these DJ competitions, like the DMC and the Red Bull Freestyle, they're not as revered by the general public as they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Because, things change and whatnot. But Samurai has been an Australian DMC champion, and their titles that he's earned, and then he's been able to like use those titles to open up other doors and create a successful career. And you know, I did the same thing with things that I've done and with the Blazin series. And you know, if you can get legitimate titles from something like a competition, I guess that's like having a university degree saying that you're a doctor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, like anything, it's like saying you're a doctor. Oh, you got a piece of paper, but then you actually have to be a good doctor and actually be a good doctor. You know?
Yeah, of course. And yeah. Speaking of, sorry, go on. I keep interrupting.
So like, you know, I can talk all day, but like, you know, there's nothing worse than giving yourself a title and then people not believing it. And I think nowadays with celebrity DJs and model DJs and things like that, I guess like more personality sort of DJs, you know, sometimes that's when people groan about stuff.
It's the association type thing, because I guess you see, you know, Jazzy Jeff, you know, he was a superstar DJ before Fresh Prince, but Fresh Prince, you know, being on a hit sitcom series, you know, really took him to another level. And then you see DJ Pauly D as well. He was DJing beforehand, but, you know, Jersey Shore really took his career to another level. So it's that association with TV that really can help you.
Of course.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of credible DJs, your man DJ Samurai won the 2016 Red Bull. Did you end up seeing G Smooth's set, though?
So I was there that night, and
right.
I was playing at Crown, and it was the launch of the R&B Fridays party, which is a pretty big deal. And so I got to see Samurai perform, and then I had to leave to go to Crown. But I saw the video afterwards and sort of everything that ensued with that, and that was an interesting time, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Do you have some thoughts about the set?
Look, man, I try not to judge anybody because, you know, you never know what people are going through in their lives and whatnot. And, you know, he's never come out and admitted that he cheated and played the set through the sampler. But certain people, like Jazzy Jeff, Z-Trip, Scratch Bastard, they said he did. Yeah. And I hope that he did, because if you've got men like that saying that you did, you did. Perception is reality. You know what I mean? Like, Jazzy Jeff posted saying the only way he's going to see Chili's in a restaurant, like, and I don't know Jazzy Jeff. I've met him a couple of times. He's a really nice dude, super humble, very well spoken, very polite. That was about as big a fuck you as you're going to get from Jazzy Jeff, you know what I mean? Like, that was kind of bad. So I feel for the dude, man. Like, it definitely, I think it's something long term that's going to affect his career. And like I said, I feel, you know, people have short memories nowadays in the digital world. He should just come out, admit he did it. He was nervous. Samurai probably intimidated him. You know, Samurai is a beast, man. I was running around that night telling everyone the beast was hungry. And just move on. People aren't going to care in 6 months. Yeah.
Because I was actually there on the night. I missed out on both Samurai and G Smith's set because I had a gig to do. But one thing that I don't think wasn't really picked up in G Smith's set was when I think halfway through the set when he was dropping in an acapella, which was Dr. Dre and Eminem, Forgot About Dre, bringing the fader in and out, and you know, with the beat, and it was completely out of sync, and he felt like he was just doing that to try and get in beat. But I'm like, this doesn't really sound authentic. It doesn't sound real. That was the one thing that sparked my attention. I feel like you know, anyone, even someone just viewing, not even a DJ who knows about, you know, these certain techniques, would be able to see it's like, this doesn't really look right. So yeah, it was upsetting to me. I still really don't know the whole facts. I'm sure none of us really know, but yeah, I wanted to get your take on it because I ended up seeing your Photoshop image on Instagram, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Look, I think the worst nowadays is that any of these DJ competitions are going to have to, I guess, keep an eye on what people are doing, and it's, you know, it's pretty disrespectful for the other guys that entered and whatnot. Yeah. And, you know, Samurai had some technical issues, like those S9 mixes can be a big glitchy, and sometimes you turn them on and the crossfader just doesn't work. And I mean, they're an amazing mixer, but that could just happen sometimes. So obviously that's going to happen at a DJ battle because that's just Murphy's Law. So Samurai had a few technical issues, and, you know, he never complained. He just did his thing, and he performed for the first 2 minutes without any monitors. And you can see in the video, there's a video somewhere where you can see my hand coming into you and plugging in the monitor.
Oh, yes,
and
I saw that, yeah.
That was no one's fault either, because we had to switch the mixer over, and we're doing it in such a rush that someone missed the monitor.
Yeah, definitely.
But, you know, he was like a special forces fucking military trained soldier and did his thing and didn't cry about it, you know? And so then for someone else to come and play it to the sampler, it's pretty bad, man, you know?
Definitely. And you got to salute Samurai for that. Being able to just perform in, you know, the toughest conditions. And this brings on a topic because you performed at Summer Break in 2010 and one of the turntables didn't work. And this was like a festival, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when it's sounding bad, like, I don't remember that, but it happens a lot. And yeah, I mean, you know, we, as part of the Chief Rockers, we're this is our life, man. This is what we do. Like, and it was funny because, you know, when people were crying about it online, sometimes some people thought we were being a bit full on about it, but it's like, this is what we do. You know what I mean? Like, we live off this shit. We pay our mortgages off this shit. We pay our car lease off this shit. I pay for my studio off this shit. You know, we take this shit real serious. So if you go to a festival and the turntable doesn't work, you know, you can choose to be the guy that goes, oh, no, the turntable doesn't work, I'm not going to perform. And that's cool, and you'll probably get your money, but they'll never book you again.
Yeah.
Or you can be the guy that just deals with one turntable, which is obviously, I guess, what I did that day. Mm-hmm. And I'm much better with two because I like to do a lot of trick mixing and cut between records, and you can't do that with one turntable.
Yeah.
Dude's like CXL in New Zealand, he can do it. Like, that's his thing. I think they made that shit for him, actually. Someone told me. I don't know if that's true or not.
Wow.
The internal switching thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it happens, man. The show must go on. I feel like you've got to deliver a show. You can't stop the music and be like, hey, everybody, just so you know, shit ain't going to be as dope as usual because I only got one turntable.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that happens a lot. It's kind of hard too because even the sound and lighting companies, they test the turntables and I guess they work, but then there might be something small that's wrong with them and they don't work well with Serato. Mm-hmm. But a lot of those companies have really stepped their game up as well, and some of the fancy festivals even have a spare one, which is always nice.
Right, yeah. That's what I said.
Yeah, I got a really nice pair that I tour with and some fancy fly cases that are kind of indestructible. So depending on where or what the thing is, I'll take my own joints sometimes. But yeah, was that in Sydney, Summer Break, or Melbourne? That was Sydney.
I'm not too sure. I saw one of your videos on YouTube.
Right, okay, I was just on one turntable?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. There you go.
It got a few dislikes, and I'm like, these guys mustn't have seen the description. like it was obviously broken. So, but I want to move on to because you mentioned DJing is what you do to pay your bills. At what moment were you able to drop just a regular job and be able to commit all your time to DJing and just pay and just live off DJing?
1999, I left my last day job. Mm-hmm. I was very young, and I was doing the DMC, and I wanted to practice, and I kind of just never went back to a day job. I was young, I was living with my parents. I had a couple of gigs. I wasn't making a ton of money or anything like that, but I was able to get by.
Yeah.
And then I remember, it was 99. I got a Sunday night gig then, which made it better. It was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then, like anything, if you're growing and people like your product, you grow, so you start doing more, getting more gigs, Thursday gigs, start earning more money. And, man, I haven't had a day job in about 16 years.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, dreams do come true then.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to talk about Supafest. So basically, how did Supafest ended up starting, and how did Supafest contact you to be the official DJ?
One of the main guys from Supafest, a guy named Dwayne Cross, we had crossed paths, no pun intended, a couple of times. He'd done the Rock the Block concert tours, and I played at a couple of them, and I DJ'd for a group called Smash Crew from New Zealand on one of the Rock the Block tours. They did the whole national tour, the one with Jay-Z, Neo, and Rihanna. Mm-hmm. And that was a pretty full-on tour in the sense that, like, once we had finished, we had to leave the backstage area because Jay-Z wanted us to be able to walk around, unbothered and whatnot. And I guess that we had to really step it up sort of professionally on how we would act.
Yeah.
And so I met them, loosely through that. So we had some sort of a relationship. And they did a little sort of mini tour with, I guess, the vision of a Supafest. I think it was Amari and a Fat Man Scoop a year or two earlier before Supafest. And I did that run with them. I did a couple of runs with them, And they all worked out cool. Everything was super cool. And when Supafest came around, I remember meeting up with them. He had a new business partners. And I met up with them at a hotel in Sydney. And they kind of had this idea. And, it sounded super, for lack of a better expression, like it was fucking bananas. And they knew, I guess, I had the name that would look right on the flyer with this lineup that people knew and would help sell tickets and whatnot. I had all the social media presence. I was actually technically good enough as a DJ to obviously rock the party and do the right thing, because you can have a DJ with a good name that's not going to do shit at your party, So they knew I'd rock the party. And they also knew I'd get the job done if a turntable broke down, if anything happened. They could let me do what I needed to do and they could focus on what they needed to do.
Yeah.
Also, with the Blazin albums, I've sold over 500,000 albums now. When the artists would look up the local person that was working with them, that would give myself and the Supafest team a lot of credibility, because they're like, oh, you know what? When Sean Paul looked me up, he would have been like, oh, wow, this guy's licensed my songs. Like he's got gold albums that have had like Glue or Temperature or something on them, what I mean? So it was cool. And obviously I was tied in with Universal Music, and I guess I was undeniably the right man for the job. So they did the first Supafest and it was great. And I never expected it to be as big as it was, and it happened and it was all good. And then the second Supafest happened. I'm trying to think, there was 2 or 3. Well, there's definitely the second one. And that was Joe, Busta Rhymes, T-Pain, Snoop Dogg. There was like 200 of us traveling every day. Like that shit was off the chain.
Yeah.
And I guess the third Supafest didn't happen. And that was when it got cancelled about a week out.
A week before the actual show, then?
I think so, yeah, about a week out before the first show.
Wow, because I remember the flyer being out and everything.
Yeah, and, it was heartbreaking, man, but that's just the business. Sometimes that happens. I mean, a lot of big festivals have come and gone. They're not an easy thing to do, otherwise everyone would do them,
Was it kind of like how Soulfest, because Soulfest was supposed to happen last year, I think, and that didn't sell enough tickets. Was that the same thing for Supafest for the third time around?
I don't think it was. It wasn't the tickets. It was something on the back end, I think, between some of the overseas booking companies and artists and whatnot, and there was some issues there, which I wasn't really privy to that information. But I believe all the tickets were selling. People with tickets, they get the money back. It's, no one was happy about it, but it all worked out.
Yeah, for sure. And what was that the sort of first time that you sort of rocked like a big festival? Like you hadn't done those numbers before, though.
I'd done a lot of concerts and festivals before that, but I do think that was the biggest. Like some of their ones, they're like 25 or 28,000 people.
Yeah.
And I don't think there were many, like, especially hip-hop guys that have done 28,000 people.
Well, yeah.
With just two turntables and a rain mixer, like no CDJs. It was just straight. It was pretty dope. It was a good time, man. And, like, I built relationships with a lot of those artists. Like, I definitely hung out a lot with Sean Paul. I did a mix for his Blaze Fire rhythm after he left. I got to talk to T-Pain a little bit. We did an Australian pre-Volva mixtape leading up to his new album at the time. And he did a whole bunch of special drops to host that. I really did what I could to build solid relationships with those artists. The second Supafest, I guess you can imagine the stage was like this, and then there was like a side elevated DJ platform. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
That I had, which was pretty sick, and I had a foot pedal carbon dioxide cannon thing that used to just blow up sort of steam.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty sick. And I remember nearly blowing up Fat Joe on that. He was walking around the front of my thing to watch Buster, I think it was. And I was about to stomp on it and nearly sent Joe up in smoke.
Jeez. That would have been terrible.
No, it was wicked, man. It was a wicked time. It was off the chain.
Yeah. And what were some of the other highlights of DJing at Supafest?
It was just a thrill to see all the people, like enjoying the shows. All the artists were crazy. There was heaps of shit going on backstage. It was, there were some hard times. Like there was one time when Game was late to stage by like half an hour or something, and like people are getting pissed, and you're trying to DJ and entertain them, and it's hard if they're expecting a 15-minute changeover. Because I used to DJ between all the groups. Yeah. So I kind of had a hard job because it's hard to, Busta Rhymes has just finished and T-Pain's coming out, or Snoop's coming out, or Fat Joe's coming out. Like, they don't really want to see you at all. They want to see the next act.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, it was cool, man. It was definitely a challenge. And the other thing is there were so many artists on that stage whose music I couldn't play, obviously. Yeah. And any song that they might feature on. So I had to quite stringently program my music, which is something I don't really like to do. But it was cool.
Yeah.
It will happen, man.
Yeah, you got to filter out all those artists, because then it just ruins up the mood for the whole time. And you don't want to be playing a song that an artist is going to perform later. That'd be terrible.
Yeah, and I had a lot of dealings with the artists and their DJs, because sometimes, Fat Joe may have wanted to perform over a Dr. Dre record or something like that. So I had to make sure and know that information so that I didn't play that Dr. Dre record right before he came out.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So there was actually a lot more work behind the scenes, I think people realize. Like, actually me being on stage DJing, that was the easy part.
Mm-hmm. But choosing songs and knowing, what intervals you're playing throughout artists and everything, I'm sure there'd be a lot of work. Yeah,
it was pretty full on. I didn't really hit too many of the after parties because I was pretty done, pretty cooked by the end of the day. And sometimes we had to be back up at 8 a.m. So like if it finished at 10:30, by the time I, packed up and got back to my room, it might have been midnight. I was just out, wake up at 8 and out the door.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of parties, you've met Rihanna quite a number of times. Are those just through industry parties or after parties?
Yeah, I met Rihanna the first time at a Universal industry party, I guess, and that was right before she really blew up.
Yeah.
She had Ponder Replay out. It was kind of big, but this is before she's now fucking pop sensation,
Yeah, definitely.
And, man, all those things always look cooler than they are. With Rihanna, I interviewed her, so we sat down for 10 or 15 minutes, and she was very cool. But all the other times it was 30 seconds, give her a Blazin CD, grab a photo, say what's up.
Yeah, for sure. So with the Blazin CDs, I mean, that was a time where people were really going to the shops and buying CDs. Now, not many people are buying CDs anymore. What made you decide to have CDs besides mixtapes, back in the day? Like, your first Blazin CD was early 2000s or mid 2000s?
Yeah, I think 2002 was Blazin.
Right.
What was your question? What made me decide to do them?
Yeah, instead of just pushing out the mixtapes.
Well, obviously, street mixtapes are cool and there's a lot of freedom to it. And we used to all sell and hustle up some money and whatnot, but I always knew, I guess, I always kind of dreamed of the career that I've now got.
Right.
And I knew that being on TV would do that. And back then, because CDs still sold, albums and whatnot, if they did TV commercials, they would sell, and obviously me being on a TV commercial would help me more, and obviously Blazin's still a mixtape. It's just a official mixtape.
Yeah.
And it was dope, man. We got them. We were in the TV ads, and I guess from Universal's perspective, because, you're talking 10, 15 years ago, if you were a new artist, they would have to invest money in you for you to tour around because no one knew who the fuck you were.
Yeah.
So if you were like DJ blah, 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 and no one knew you, they'd have to give you $10,000 or $15,000 so you could fly around Australia and do performances, and so people would see you and you'd build your fan base, But I already had a fan base. I was already touring around Australia doing shows anyway. I played in Perth, and Perth's probably the furthest place you can get to. So when we did this mix, it was easy. They didn't have to invest. They didn't have to give me any tours. They call it tour support. They didn't have to give me any tour support. Blazin one I did with Nick Toff, and we went around the country and promoted it, and it sold well. And then Nick lost his work visa. He was from Austria originally. And he was unable to do Blazin 2. And that's when Samurai came in. I got Samurai on board. And just because of the way the music game is, Blazin 2 was an even bigger success. And it sucks for Nick, but they weren't going to go back to him, because Sam had taken the reins,
Yeah. And how much of budget did you need to actually put out the Blazin CDs? Because there's so much extra costs that you need to have in order for your CD to be, or for a DJ to have their mixed CD on the shelf. So explain some of the costs that go into that.
Well, Universal would take care of all of that. We would just license the songs. We would tell them the songs. They would license the songs. We would do the mix. They'd manufacture and distribute the album. And, we get paid a royalty. And they would put an advertising budget. But back in the early 2000s, there was a time when they'd spend like $100K on TV ads.
Wow.
But, a 1 30-second ad in So You Think You Can Dance on one of those shows is about $15,000. So, you have 6 or 7 TV ads at the right time, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we sold albums like Blazin 5, Samurai and I went platinum. We sold 70,000 albums. They gave us the plaque the night we were at the Nino and Rihanna launch party. And, yeah, man, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good for a long time.
Well,
so we did Blazin 2014. I did Blazin 1 to 5. After Blazin 5, they offered Samurai his own deal, and he's doing his own stuff, and he's since done things with Ministry of Sound and whatnot, maximum bass, all kinds of cool shit. And then I did Blazin 2007 through 2014. And then last year chose to give it a rest because I didn't want it to be like Nick Skits where there was like 80 albums out.
Yeah.
And, shout out to Nick Skits, like in his realm, that shit is cool, but the hip-hop, I just wasn't sure, whether the urban world wanted that. So we gave it a rest, and I started up a new joint called Downloadable Dope, which I put out last year, which went pretty cool. And then the funny thing is, people are just like in tune with their brains to go for Blazin. Everywhere I went, people are like, when's Blazin coming out? When's Blazin coming out? So this year we decided to do like a themed Blazin. We call it a Blazin, the R&B edition, just because R&B is like the new hot word for the year.
For sure.
So it's been pretty cool. So that came out a couple of weeks back. It's doing really well. It's like number 50 in the iTunes charts. There's no budgets like there used to be, with no TV ads and stuff like that. Just iTunes only mix. But it's cranking along, man. We're happy.
Yeah, definitely. And would you recommend, because the market's changed, the CDs aren't selling as like they were back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, late 2000s. Would you recommend a DJ to go the same route as you, to have these mixed CDs out on the shelves on iTunes, just distributed, and try and make some coin out of that?
I mean, yeah, they don't really sell like they used to, and the thing is, it's the record companies aren't going to do that with someone unless they feel they can make money. They're a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So if your profile's not there, then all kinds of digital mixes, Mixcloud, all that kind of stuff's a great alternative to help build your name and your brand. And I think you've just got to build a product. You've got to try and build a fan base however you do it, And that's why the world's changed, man. You can't hate on Paris Hilton for DJing, Like if Kim Kardashian was going to be out DJing in a bikini at a pool with like loads of hot girls, like that'd be a fun time. Like, let's keep it real.
Yeah, people would flock. Yeah.
I think it was in Surface Paradise or somewhere, and Snoop Dogg played a party, and like, it's a lot of fun, man. Like, people get mad at the whole thing, real DJs and whatnot, and like, I guess I fall into that real DJ category. and I do what I do, right? But the world changes, man. You can't be mad. It's like being mad on fucking people not buying CDs anymore. Like, who buys them? Like, the people that are crying about people not buying CDs, they ain't buying CDs either. Like, shut the fuck up. The world changes, So people just don't want to always see DJs beat juggling and scratching all day long. Like, if Snoop is at a party, he's like, the shizzle my nizzle, and then he drops gin and juice, like, and girls are in bikinis in a pool. That's a fun time.
Yeah.
Live life,
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the celebrity aspect really helps a lot. And you see even Shaquille O'Neal, he's got a residency in Las Vegas, I think, so...
Yeah, man, Mariah Carey's DJing. I saw a YouTube thing. She looked fun as hell.
Really? I haven't seen that. Wow.
Yeah, so like, I think sometimes people forget that aside from everything else, people have fun and enjoy themselves. And I think however you control the room and people have fun, and then you're winning,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, look, let's move on to your label, Digital Dope. Talk about it for a sec.
It's the greatest label on earth. I called DJ Khaled and he said, man, you've got another one.
Yeah.
Shout out to DJ Khaled. Actually, he did some dope drops for Blazin, the R&B edition.
Right. I haven't heard that. I never listened to it though.
You have to buy it, man. As soon as you finish this interview, you need to get on iTunes and buy that shit. But, look, I guess the new way for DJs to release music is to release songs. David Guetta's and Calvin Harris and whatnot. And same goes to the urban world. So I've been releasing singles. The last record I put out was Status Ain't Real featuring I Am Sue and Maribel. She's based in Melbourne. Yeah. And earlier on last year, I had a record called Do To Me, which was myself featuring Vince Harder and King Mez. Yeah. And King Mez is Dr. Dre's new artist. He featured on 4 records on Compton. And so I set up my own label basically just to release my own music. I'm not trying to take over the world or anything crazy. It just allowed me a platform to release my own music how I wanted to. Sure. And I only had to answer to myself, which is cool. I'm distributed in Australia through Universal Music. Yeah. And it's distributed internationally with a company called Foundation Media, who are kind of like a lesser known but very, very serious digital distributor. And life is good. My records that cruise along, they're doing what I want them to do. They help me keep out the road DJing, which is the main aim. Yeah. And yeah, man, life is good. Yeah, for sure. And I see you're dipping into like the twerk and trap world. Is that because you really enjoy the genres, or is it because it's the fad right now? No, man, I love trap music. Well, my favorite record right now is that Bauer joint with Pusha T and Future, Kung Fu. Yeah. She's crazy, man. Like, I've always, it's funny, like, I don't think people really gauge how much I just love music. Yeah. And it's funny, like, I post a lot on social media about what I'm doing in my gigs, but I'm going to start posting more saying, like, I love this record as well, just because sometimes I'm not that guy. Like, I think who gives a fuck about what I think song-wise, But I just, and I always love hearing new shit and, like, new sounds, and I genuinely feel that trap and twerk records are, like, legitimate urban offsprings, you know what I mean? And I've done a lot of traveling, in the year 2000 I went out to London a couple times, and it really opened my eyes up musically. Like, I love dancehall music, and what I love about the clubs there is people were very open-minded musically. So when I play a 2-hour set, especially up at the time, about an hour and 15 minutes is all the regular hip-hop R&B that love and expect. But then I'll do something, I've got like Sean Paul hosting a section saying, Nino Brown, let's play some dancehall and reggae, and I'll play 15 minutes of dancehall, And then when the tempo goes down with records like Formation and Only that are around that trap thing, I'll go into trap for 10 minutes, I like to take people on like a musical journey, When the tempo is right, I'll play a turn down for what record, and then I'll play a few twerk records, and just take people on a journey. So it's not just what they expect, And one thing that gets me off is getting people to have a good time to stuff that they may not musically do, getting people to have a good time to music that they may not think
And
from watching guys like Jazzy Jeff, you know, he can play. Obviously, I think Jeff just turned 50 or 51, and so Jeff's a legend. He's that guy, you know. He's got a big range of fans. So at a Jeff party, there might be a 50-year-old dude, there might be a 20-year-old dude, and Jeff's got that musical freedom to play a lot of stuff, you know. And I try and do something similar within the confines of my fan base, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love trap music, so they're very organic. I don't think any successful music can be inorganic, you know what I mean? Even if it's a pop record, like it might be a cheesy pop record, but whoever made that record, if it's a hit, I believe sincerely that they love that shit, you know? And it's funny, like, I don't know about you, but I can appreciate a good pop record.
Yeah.
Like even those Bieber records, those cheesy Bieber records, like they were well-written pop records, you know what I mean? Like if your job was to make a pop record, then fuck me, you did that shit 110%, you know what I mean?
I mean,
Like,
Justin Bieber's music was so good last year, and this last year and this year that everyone forgot about, you know, all the dumb shit he was doing in the media the year before. You know, that's how good the music was.
Yeah,
Everyone was Bieber fans again. But yeah, I want to talk about brands. So you've collaborated with a few brands now. How did the Casio G-Shock come around?
I'm a really confident guy, and I know what I can do for brands.
Yeah.
So I will just, you know, find the right person at that brand and kind of and say confidently but not arrogantly, listen, this is what I do, this is what you do, this is what we can do together. And sometimes people don't quite get, you know, business is like any relationship, so everyone wants to win. So I can go, look, I can do this for you, and then you're going to get this, and then if you give this for me, I can do this, and we both win. So with someone like Casio and G-Shock, you know, when I approached them, I mean, they're still smashing it now, but I think probably 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, when I first hit them up, they may have even been bigger than what they are now. I'm not sure. They're probably still huge. I mean, obviously they are, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like, there was a time when a lot of magazines had a lot of G-Shock ads and things, and they really didn't need to mess with me, but I kind of pitched to them like, look, you know, get involved in my tour. They would give me 100 G-Shock watches, and I would give 2 G-Shock watches out at 50 shows.
Right.
And I was just kind of like, listen, all of these kids buy your product. They love your products, you know what I mean? But how good is it going to look to be associated to me in this tour? And if I throw this watch out and those boxes are perfect, people can grab them. Even if the box disintegrates a bit, the watch is fine in a little metal case. You know, if someone wins that, they tell all their friends they won this at a Nino Brown party, Blazin party, they got this watch. They'll remember that shit for the rest of their lives. That was a good night for them, you know? And I'm sure the cost price for them on those 50 watches, on those 100 watches is, you know, negligible to the amount of goodwill and good brand recognition and even just social media presence, their logo and all my stuff. So everyone wins, you know. Some people go in and they try to rake and pillage with companies, go, yeah, you're G-Shock, you got a lot of money, give me 100 grand and 100 watches. And they ask for unreasonable things, and that'd be like meeting a woman and just asking her something unreasonable before you get to know her. Like, she's going to say no and slap you in the face, you know. The same thing happens with the brands. And recently started doing things with New Era. I did a collab hat with them about 5 or 6 years ago. And that was pretty cool. I did a DJ Nino Brown limited cap. It was a small run of 150 caps. And they're now giving me giveaways for the Blazin R&B edition tour, which is cool.
Yeah.
I've done stuff with Monster headphones. Same thing. And, you know, they use me to obviously endorse their products and to be seen using their products, you know. But there have been times when I've saved them tons of money. Like, I remember once they sent me some brand new pair of DJ headphones, and they asked me my opinion, and these were prototype headphones, didn't end up sort of coming out. But I was like, listen, I don't like it for this, and this. Trust me, don't bring these over. These will not work, you know.
Yeah.
And they were like, at the time, going to bring over like a container load of these headphones. So they were like, thank you for being honest. You know, you got to. It's like in a relationship, you got to be honest. You got to have a good rapport, build that relationship, and not be afraid to tell people the things they don't want to hear sometimes, but they need to hear, you know?
Yeah.
And I was lucky when they were super cool. They were like, they were like, this is fucking great. Like, we were going to bring in so many of these headphones, we would have been fucked.
Yeah, for sure. And Hobson said, it was an amazing quote from Hobson. He said the best type of marketing doesn't feel like marketing at all. And I feel like with your brands that you've associated yourself with, it's all been very organic. Like you probably wear G-Shock watches before you even approach G-Shock. You wear your new era caps. I haven't seen you without a snapback ever, So all these make sense.
Yeah, no, I got a terrible head. So anyway, but that you're exactly right, man. It's the same thing in music. It has to be organic. So if there are brands that I'm using their products, like Monster don't really have a DJ headphone at the moment, and they're sort of changing up some of their product range. And I'm thinking about talking to some other companies, but their companies use products I like. And it's the same thing with G-Shock. Even the needles I use. My first proper sponsor was a stylist company called Autofon.
Yeah.
And I kind of pitched them like that. I'm like, this is what I do. This is what I want. I want some free needles. I buy your product anyway. I believe your product is the best product. I'm already buying it. Mm-hmm. But if we add your logo to different things, it can help you, And I ended up being on the cover of one of their catalogs and, all kinds of stuff. And, I'm a big believer in being organic. And even nowadays, if companies give you stuff, they don't want you to be like, hey, I was given JBL portable speaker and it's really cool and you can do this and if it's Bluetooth and whatnot. They want you to be organic with it. They'll say to you, hey, just post about it in a cool way.
Yeah, for sure. And how important is it to provide value? Because it seems like, with all the brands that you've approached, you've got something to offer with yourself.
It's very important to provide value. If you don't provide value, they're not going to work with you again. They might do it the first time because you convince somebody. I'm always very careful to under promise and overachieve.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever I tell them I'm going to do, I 110% do, and then do more, and then it's always easier to get more later.
Yeah.
And my thing is, I just want, when I'm doing a party or a Blazin launch somewhere, like, if they've got a DJ playing at Fabulous Fridays at Crown, Fox FM, R&B Fridays party, and they come in and they got a CD launch and they give away 2 CDs, like, cool, that was cute, that's cool. But like, when Nino Brown played, we gave 5 CDs and we gave 2 caps and 2 G-Shock watches and 2 pairs of Monster headphones, and she was bananas, man,
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to create a fun vibe. I even did some stuff with Xbox back in the day. And like, we'd be at a party, like, is anyone on Xbox? People just, like, lose their minds. Yeah, man, I need to hit up Xbox again. They were cool. The lady, I remember the lady I dealt with there, she left. So sometimes that happens too, whoever you're talking to leave and you can kind of be stuck.
For sure. And did you work with Nike as well?
I've done a few cool things over the years with Nike. They had the 25th anniversary of the Air Force One, I think 3 or 4 years ago. And they took my shoe collection and sort of put it on display in some cool house, and I DJ'd, and that was cool. And I think some of those brands like Nike technically only endorse athletes, but they'll provide product to like tastemakers. So I get stuff from time to time from Nike, which is always fun.
Yeah, for sure. Man, that's incredible, all of that. We'll move on to like international gigs. So when was your first international gig?
My first international gig was in Indonesia. Sorry. My first international gig was in London.
Right.
And I guess the reason why I thought Indonesia was my first international gig where I was, 100% booked and toured by a company in Asia. When I went to London, a friend of mine, DJ Pogo, arranged a lot of the gigs, so I sort of flew myself out and I stayed with him and I did some gigs when I was there. But going out to Indonesia was, I guess it's sort of like the first official one where I had to get work visas and do it right. I went out to the Philippines, and that was pretty cool. That was in about 2003, 2004, and I played in the Philippines, Indonesia. I played in England. I played in Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Tim O'Maddock's tour DJ.
Yes.
So I've done a few international dates with him. We played out in Thailand and Vietnam. He's pretty big in Asia as well as Australia.
Right. Yeah.
And where else have I played? And most recently Bali. I only did Bali last year for the first time.
Right. And what's, I guess, did you do any research before you go into these countries, like what type of music they're really feeling, you know, the latest tracks that come out of these countries, or just what's trending there? Do you do any research, or you just go in with, you know, your style and what you feel like you want to play?
I don't do that kind of research, which I probably should. I think it depends on the gig. Like if they're Tim O'Maddock gigs, I'm just doing his stuff anyway, so that's sort of easier. And he does a lot of that. If we have little freestyle sections, he'll let me know what songs he wants me to play. But most of the parties I've been to, I didn't think it was the case, but I had a fan base in those areas because so many people from Asia come and study in Australia. So at the parties, it was funny, there was heaps of familiar faces at these parties in Asia. And I was kind of like, man, I haven't seen you in 3 years. And they're like, yeah, I moved to Sydney and studied law for 6 years and was out clubbing where you were playing for 6 years. And now I've finished my degree and I've been back here. So I guess there were a lot of Asians who had been in Australia and sort of knew and were happy with the music that I played. When I played in Bali the last time, which was Easter Monday at Sky Garden, that was a bit more of like an open format gig. So musically then I did a lot of research because I played a few hits and different things. But I wasn't really researching what was necessarily a hit in Asia, just general, you know, a few EDM records, a couple of house records, sort of open format stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, with your original music, what's to come next? Because you've worked with Maribel. I hope you do some more stuff with her. She's amazing. And same with I Am Zoo. So what can we expect more from DJ Nino Brown?
There's a dancehall artist called Future Fambo, who's pretty dope. We've got a twerk record coming out called Booty Clap. Makes everyone laugh. And I'm shooting a video for that one as well. So that will be out before the end of the year.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And
on that twerky one, the 100 beats a minute, where urban meets twerk kind of vibe.
Yeah, for sure. Like the turn down for what type feel. Similar to that. Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to promote?
Yeah, I'm on Mixcloud now. I've just recently uploaded my entire catalogue. Everything that I've done over the years, except for what's on iTunes, is now on Mixcloud. So there's like a shitload of stuff. And it's mixcloud.com/DJ Nino Brown. I haven't really promoted it yet, so this is the first time I'm sort of mentioning it. It's been up for about a month. And I've got a bit of a plan coming out to promote that. But I've got that happening. That'll be updated every week with radio mixes that I do.
For sure. Yeah, speaking of radio, we featured on the same mix. I was a guest. I had a guest mix on the drop, and I think my mix was played after yours, which was great to hear. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. So, where can people find you? Obviously, your website. Yeah,
DJNinoBrown.com's just recently been updated. I'm on Snapchat, DJ Nino Brown. Facebook, DJ Nino Brown, and my Instagram is DJ_Nino Brown.
There we go. Thank you for joining me here on Urban Knowledge, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Cheers.